via the status update. We have folks on the call, so if they have questions when you're done with that, then we can ask those.
Okay.
And you can then let us know what we need to do after that.
Okay. So do you have my screen? Is that what you guys are
Yep,
looking at? Or is that your screen?
that's yours.
Okay, great. I'm thinking.
Well, actually, Sylvia's.
Okay, I was like, wow. I'm like, okay, I had it up. So Sylvia, if you can go to December 6th, we're gonna look just at a few, thinking about the status update. The first goal, are two big goals that you have there within the professional development. The first one really did center in and around our Mustang U and how we looked at science, because really, that was a target area that we've been struggling with. One of the things that we talked about, that it wasn't at that point on December 6th, that we weren't meeting the goal. I really don't want to necessarily read you, the piece there, but what I'd like to do is have us kind of start to think about, as we looked at this goal and some of the things that were being provided, what we really would love to try to see is that having more of a high impact, because like what was listed of just having Sam attend some Mustang U's and like planning with some of our teachers, yes, that will be an okay strategy, but one of the things that we really wanted to hone in on was seeing if she might be able to really think about how to work with our content lead that is here on a obviously more consistent basis, and seeing if she can really develop him inside of the curriculum, even the resource, as in resources that he may need to order or get, and that he can then spread that through. So that was kind of one of the things that we, and still is, if you look at the current one on the 20th, that just hasn't really changed. We haven't really had any impact inside of that. I do know that Sam did come on, let's see, I think I put it in there. It's hard to, I wish I was navigating this a little bit better, but that she did come twice, both in November, right after she had kind of got this information, and came to two of our Mustang U's. But, that would be something where I'd like to build the capacity inside of my content leader. And that's something that we would like to shift. One of the things that we started out with there on the 6th, the next one is the mental health goal. So one of the things that was talked about that was going to be provided was mental health and counseling services, and that we would it says continued technical assistance with curriculum and school-wide screening for social emotional health. That was something that you guys had said that you would kind of help with, or that we had talked about. And that is happening, as in we do have, and we've implemented our our base curriculum as well as our second step. And you can see inside of like the 13th and the 20th, we're actually on the green on that. So if you want to go into the 20th for that one, Sylvia, that would be awesome. Because as you can see, there's some growth here. We've been meeting the goal since the 6th. And I started with the 6th, Andre, or anybody, is just because really getting all of the details, all of the information, and then really tracking it, that's kind of where we started. But that's where inside of this goal, we're really making ground. The only thing, and that was why we were in the yellow on the 6th, the only thing that we haven't gotten or haven't done was the universal screener. And so inside of the screener, we will be having to do that next year. It's just, we've missed the cutoff, missed some of the, you've got to really communicate with your community inside of that as we're learning. We just didn't know all of those pieces. And so that's going to be something that here this second semester, we're going to start to really connect with Jessica Mirday and her team to really set up and getting all the paperwork for the screener ready so that we can send that home next year and those kind of pieces. But right now in our second step on Wednesday, it's Wednesday, Thursdays, we, everyone in our school is getting the curriculum. And so you can see on the 13th and on the 20th, kind of just what our students are learning inside of the different weeks. So, you know, with our 6th grade, yeah, you'll have to go up a little bit, but yeah, you can stay there. It's fine on the 20th. But within, we're starting, or we've been doing that. The other thing that I want to highlight that we started was we realized that we've been really looking at our students for social emotional and how we're working, you know, they're working with each other differently, but we actually have now started something with our staff. And so we are doing a book study on Dare to Lead by Renee Brown. And so each week inside of our Mustang U, that is actually part of our like kind of mental health and counseling and how we're working together as a staff. And so what you'll see from the 6th into the 13th and on to the 20th, you'll see kind of more towards the bottom inside of that goal, what we're doing with Dare to Lead. And each week we've been starting out, or like there's a topic in how we kind of conversate with each other, but also build trust, because that was something inside of the TLCC data that we saw that there was some lack of trust with each other, but also with us as admin. And so we're diving into that. So that's going really well and really loving that, what we're doing inside of it. Then if you look down inside of our PD part, it should be, let's go to this, if you can go back to the 6th again, Sylvia. So the next where it said support. So this, as we looked at it within the support that we had, there were different areas that you guys, the team had said, hey, this is how we can support you. And in that first part, we started looking at the behavioral systems support team. And within the behavioral support team, they really did, they came out, they had met with my AP that now had just had her baby, and as well as my dean. And at first it was a little bit different because I just didn't get to be as a part of that as I would have liked to. And at first it felt like we may not have had alignment. And so while walkthroughs were going, because that's where it's saying we're meeting our goals with a little bit of obstacles. At first it was trying to make sure that we did have alignment with each other and what we were doing inside of that. And so that was where it was interesting too, that the people that had came in on a part of that team, like Christine Levin Santos and Jamila, there's a few on that team, Jake, but that there were some preconceived notions around our current state and our baseline data that they were gathering. It just kind of felt like that. But then as we really dove in, you'll see on the 13th and then even on the 20th that this is actually really going well. We're getting some really great data for that. Actually, if you go onto the 20th, that'd be great. Yep, within our behavioral support team, you know, it's right above the red not meeting, but like we're really meeting that goal. Yep, thank you for just noting that. We've enjoyed doing the walkthroughs. We've been getting a lot of data inside of how do we help our teachers. Our teachers have really responded to this. And so just thank you to that team for their continued effort, but also helping us gather that data and going through that. The other piece here within not meeting, so I still haven't seen, Sam, that one thing that part of aligning her with Mustang U or even my teaching partner. So she did meet with my teaching partner, Amber Swain, towards the beginning. And then they had made appointments to go and do science observations together, but it was just never rescheduled. So we're just kind of really still lacking there in how to respond. Now, Malia has been working with my teaching partner inside of like teaching or having some coaching question or conversations for some of our new science teachers. So like she has been helping, but I think, you know, my teaching partner really would love to really dive in, especially with Sam, around like specific look-fors inside of that content to help us within that goal. So we just would like to have that go a little bit different. But Melina has really been helping within building our teaching partners' capacity, but also within those conversations. Also, Ken Jensen has been an amazing support. This, like, especially my teaching partner is mostly a literacy teacher. And so inside of that, she had some, you know, mathophobia a little bit, but Ken has really supported by coming in and coaching with her, but also going in and doing some observations. We actually, this week, it was really powerful. Ken and my teaching partner, and then 4 of my teachers all did a observation of another one of my math teachers here in the building around collaboration and structured talk. And they all were able to give feedback and really actually went back to Mustang U and plan lessons inside of how to implement the structures that they saw. And so Ken's really been really critical inside of that work. So super excited about that. And then one of the things that he had noticed after observing that teacher is that we'll probably get, it's called Voice Box, I think, or it's a STEM program that my 6th grade teachers will be piloting based off of his work that he's been doing with my teaching partner and this team. So it's been very positive so far. I think just a couple tweaks, like I was saying, if we can really partner in with Sam. I know that she had mentioned to my teaching partner that, as well as to myself, that we're getting a new curriculum, I guess, or something to that effect for science. And so there's just kind of this, you know, how do we support in the meantime, you know, and getting us to the new curriculum. So I guess, you know, just really wanting to make sure that, you know, we get some support in that area, but so far so good. It's been great.
Okay, at this particular point, and any team members have questions, clarifications?
Hey, Marcella, this is Baez.
Hey, Baez.
How are you? For the SAM portion, in terms of wanting to kind of shift her support to working with the lead for science, is that a conversation that's already happened, or is that one that needs to happen?
It's one that needs to happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Hi, Marcella, it's Wanda Me. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Wanda May.
Hi. So I just wanted to talk to you about the system support team members.
Yeah.
I know you guys are in the PBIS cohort. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. And so I know that you had mentioned from weeks prior about just kind of what that support looks like and collaborating and being aligned with school leadership. And I see that you do have that for the 20th as meeting the goal, but I did notice that at the bottom, you kind of still are reporting out about the alignment with the school leadership. Can you kind of tell me what you need that to look like? It sounds like maybe with you being on board with, you know, the walkthroughs or them being in the building, or let me know what what you would like for that to look like.
Yeah. And actually want to make, and maybe which is hard because it's not on my screen, but
Okay.
I can see this, but I can't like pull up mine. But it's good. I think having a conversation is fine too. As I kind of went into a little bit, that first piece, I hadn't gotten to be a part of those conversations at first. And so it was kind of a little bit at first, like, I was worried that we weren't aligned at the same piece, and that what was the work at first, and that's where I attribute it a little bit to at that first part where my AP that was really working with them had been gone now, and so she, you know, I couldn't check in to say, hey, are we aligned? Where are we at? What's going on? And so at first it did have that feel. But I'll tell you now, I've got, you know, whether it be myself or one of my other APs that have gone in, and we go in and they've been able to go into those walkthroughs with them. I think at first it was hard too, because the rubric that we're using is not necessarily the look fors that I am looking for, like 100%, right? So like I might, we may say, one of the things on there was talking about more positive narration around certain pieces. And some of it felt like some of the aspects into that rubric were more geared towards elementary rather than secondary, which is fine. I think we just had to talk that through as to what does that look like, right? Or what are some specifics here in our building versus just a generic rubric that is used all the time, because I may not be really focusing in on a certain strategy that was in those rubrics. Have you seen those rubrics? I'm sure you have.
I have.
Okay.
I understand what you're saying.
Okay, so that was kind of that first little piece of like, okay, so how is this aligning, or how are we using this rubric? Because this is a very generic rubric that I didn't create and that I didn't really necessarily have a part of. And so how are we utilizing that rubric that's more generic inside of that? So then as we've worked through and doing the walkthroughs, that's been something that has been a conversation piece. And so then that felt different versus when they first came in, here's the rubric and that's what we're using. And then it was like, and then as the conversation deepened, that's where it went different. So, which is great. One thing I didn't get to, and while you are on that subject of the PBIS and the support there, and yes, we are in the cohort, super excited. That'll be where we're on the 10th. I'll talk even more about that part, and not just the walkthroughs, but we are going to be doing our huge rollout of our PBIS, we've got our LEAD posters, which LEAD is our new acronym about like how people behave throughout the building. And so super excited about that. We've got our positive rewards. Like there's a PBIS app that like we can give electronic points to kids throughout like all day based off of their ID. And so Christine Lovin Santos was just here yesterday. We were actually breaking out into different groups inside of how we're going to do our huge rollout when we come back from break. So that's been really, really positive on that note of rolling things out. So I can't wait to kind of do an update later to tell you guys how that's going.
Okay. Thank you very much. I just wanted to make sure that you're certainly in the loop with what is happening in your building from the team. And it sounds like from what you're saying that it's started a little rocky, but it's gotten much better to this point.
Yes, 100%.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So Marcel, I have a question for you.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you're able to see what I see, because I can see all of your status reports. So I want to go, just so for clarification for me and those folks that can see this, as I read the very first sentence, it says that we have received the supports as outlined in the strategic response memo. However, they have not been high impact.
Yes.
But then when I go to the mental health and counseling, and then I go to support, as I walk all the way down, are those responses that you have in those areas, which they should be, a result of our response, or is that just work that you're doing?
It has been a result of your response. And that's where in that comment of that piece, because right at the beginning where it says, inside of like the first responses that I'm looking at, that one of them said, Sam will reach out to my teaching partner to attend Mustang U planning session. Sam will attend PLC 2 times a week or quarter. So there were certain things that around that specific one inside of science, the Mustang U around science, some of the things that were outlined that Sam would do just didn't seem that, like, we started going, I don't know if that's the highest impact by having her necessarily attend two of our it's Thursday. having her attend Mustang U planning sessions and just having like these very spot kind of like not very consistent times there would be the highest impact. And so what we were trying to do is say, okay, so for Sam inside of that one, the highest impact would really start to look at more of building my content lead who could potentially do that and have that be more consistent if she works more with him rather, because that wasn't anything that was how would we respond. And so that's why we were trying to say this would be the piece that we would ask and have bias do. The rest of it is actually through these responses where you're saying, like inside of the responses, one of them was to have like Ken Jensen meet with John Boo to determine next steps. So like what happened within Ken Jensen's line, the next steps were to have him connect with my teaching partner and to have him keep going. So each one of these were based off of the responses that were listed out. And yes, I do believe the rest of those are are very high impact pieces. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
And so I think the team understands where we need to focus.
Okay.
And so moving forward, is there anything that you need from us as we get ready to go into next semester specifically?
I mean, if we can, making sure that we continue the help that we have been like within Malia, within Ken Jensen, if we can just have that conversation like you were mentioning, that would be great to have, Sam being more of an impact there too. Just because that isn't the field of specialty in my building, and that would be great to have her. But like Wanda May, your team has been, again, excellent as well to help us there. And so, I mean, just the continued help would be great for that.
All right. Thank you so much. I hope that you were able to give us feedback that you wanted us to hear. And I know that we will be responsive. So
Okay.
Looking forward to it. Maintain your status report. So as we continue this process, we can adjust where we need to.
Okay, perfect. Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
All right. Have a good
All right.
holiday.
All right. Bye.
Okay.